On today's episode of Table Scraps, Bobby's joining us from Mexico.
Buenos dias, amigos.
Now, I've got a hell of a story for you about meeting Dave Sparks down in the Bahamas on the Kraken. What's going on, Bob?
Hey there. How are things back at the homestead?
Pretty good. We're lonely without you, though.
Yeah, it's 2's a little bit lonelier than 3, huh?
Yep. That empty seat, just not right.
Well, I'll be back soon enough, don't you worry. But for now, I'm chilling.
Yeah, why don't you tell everybody where you're at?
So I'm currently in Cancun, Mexico. Came down here for a friend's wedding, Caitlin and John. And we are here until tomorrow, and we've been here since Thursday. And, I mean, it's been really good. My body is slowly decomposing, I think, just due to lack of sleep and high UV rays and then lots and lots of booze. But I'm hanging in there. We're doing okay. I feel pretty good today, actually. I took it easy last night knowing that we wanted to do this morning. So I think I needed that, like, extra sleep and a little bit of, like, lack of Dos Equis in my body. I'm, like, feeling back pain. I'm pretty sure it's my liver. But, no, we're good. It's been great. I could not complain at all.
Yeah, you deserved a good getaway after the effort you put into that Mark Morris video, and getting that thing out like right before you left had to feel good, knowing that was done. Like, you didn't have to worry about it. You got to go on your trip. I mean,
it felt so good. I at my old job, I would be so bad at procrastinating that every time I'd leave for vacation, there was always shit that I left at home that I should have done that I didn't have done. And so basically every vacation I took sucked a little bit more than it had to. And this one, getting Mark Morris done, publishing it, getting good feedback, and then just stepping away, I've been able to enjoy myself the entire time, which is why I'm in so much pain right now. But yeah, it's definitely a different feeling, and it felt really good to get that off my plate right before I left.
Yeah, here we are recording a podcast on your vacation, which I don't know how you feel about that, but I think it's pretty cool that we're doing a remote one. You're in Mexico, I'm here. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I got no problem with it. It's good training for me too. I mean, ultimately I want to start producing podcasts, so if I can figure out how to get this remote shit working with you and it'll be a lot easier for me to feel confident doing that for a client. So I have no problem. I got my coffee. I'm getting my day started. So if you can't tell, like, I've been habitually drinking so much that I just keep. It's like this could very well be a beer right now.
Yeah, I don't know what you have in that drink. It could be more than coffee.
Just some espresso. That's it. I swear.
That'll do. I mean, I wouldn't care if you did spike it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on vacation. You're not allowed to care. Maybe I'll get a beer in a few minutes. It's 10:22 here. I would probably have had my first screwdriver by now.
I forgot you're an hour ahead.
Yeah.
Or behind.
Behind, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been good. Leaving work at home has been good. I definitely will be ready to come home tomorrow, though. We got some exciting stuff to do this week, and we do. Going home, seeing my animals, and vacation's good, but it definitely takes a toll. And so this is a nice, like, almost segue back into reality. So,
cool.
But yeah, so that's what I've been up to, and I know you've been up to some things as well.
I got some stories for you, and I think that's why we're pushing to do this while you're still down there, is because this is so fresh, and I don't want to, like, forget any details, because the trip that we just took was maybe the craziest thing. It was one main day, right? And I'll get into it, but it was a wild trip.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about it, because we actually haven't seen each other, and I actually have no idea what happened.
Right.
Specifically, we're like, let's just not talk about it, and we'll talk about it here. So everything that you're giving me is going to be fresh to me. So I don't know how you want to go about it, but maybe just start from how you got the call from Mike, when you got the call, how quickly you had to turn around that plane ticket, and then whatever came next. Yeah,
do the viewers justice by asking questions when you don't know something, or something that I skip over that's important, because I'm going to try to just break it down for everybody from Easter Sunday until we got back, which was Friday. So it was a 5-day period where Saturday before Easter, I didn't even know we were doing anything. So I guess I'll just start into it. I mean, Sunday, I'm driving over to my aunt's for Easter dinner, and I get a text from Mike, how quickly can you get to Miami? I texted him back. I said, pretty fast. That was it. And he just said, okay, I'll get you with some details later. Come to find out, he had, if I hadn't responded, he was probably going to get somebody else to come and film it instead because he really needed somebody. So it was good that I responded right away. But I ended up calling him, or I think he called me later that day and told me what the plan was. And it was pretty wild what he was saying. I mean, he wanted to take the MTI 440 from Miami to the Bahamas with Dave Sparks. So for those of you that don't know who Dave Sparks is, he's a YouTuber. Previously, like before he was a YouTuber, he was on the Discovery Channel on a show called The Diesel Brothers. It was a show that came onto the Discovery Channel after Mike Howe's show ended on the Discovery Channel. So they had something in common. Like they never actually met each other before, and this was their opportunity to do some boating together. Mike wanted to show off the MTI and just make content, and that's what Dave Sparks wanted to do as well, was just make content.
How was that, like that interaction between the two of them having such a close tie and backstory, just with both having the Discovery Channel, both working with brothers, like both kind of doing the same stuff?
Well, before we like got into any part of the trip, Mike was saying that he wanted to just, have some casual conversation about Discovery Channel, just kind of like pick his brain on YouTube stuff. So in addition to like making content, Mike also wanted to have these conversations with him, just, to get to know him a little bit. They had never met in person, even though they had done all this Discovery Channel stuff together.
Right.
So,
cool.
Yeah, I'll just keep going. I mean, Katie booked my flight for Tuesday morning. So he didn't need me on Monday. Tuesday was the plan. We were going to go down, stay the night there. Wednesday, go across to the Bahamas with Dave. And so I get there Tuesday, and I get to like some random public access where he just drops a pin, and I'm like, okay, this is where the boat's going to be. And the cab drops me off, and it's not the MTI. It's the Kraken. So I'm going to go back a little bit because Katie's been going on these trips with us, and the whole thing why she couldn't go on this one was because it was the MTI and we weren't going to have enough room. So the first thing I'm thinking when
Katie actually told me that bit when you got there. She was like, yeah, I talked to Brad, and it's the Kraken, and there's plenty of space. And she's like, I'm going to try not to think about it too much, though.
Yeah, that was a last-minute change by Mike. And I guess it was his conversation with Dave Sparks that led him to bring the Kraken down. He wanted to see that boat instead of the MTI, which is cool. I mean, it's good for Mike. That's his brand. MTI is, he just owns that boat. It has nothing to do with the brand. So it was cool. But there was a lot more room, and I could have brought more gear and clothes. Like I didn't even bring, like I brought like a couple t-shirts, and that was it. I just stuffed them into my camera bag. So that was kind of a bummer, but later on he apologized pretty genuinely. Like I felt it that he was sad that he didn't bring Katie. 'Cause she just helps a lot, and she's fun, and her and Sarah have a great relationship. So it would have enhanced the trip, but didn't happen. So we move on.
What are you going to do? Yeah. It's in the past.
So I'm still thinking that once I get on the boat, we're just staying in Miami, and then Dave Sparks is coming down, and we're going to all boat across. Come to find out, the weather was looking pretty bad for Thursday. Or for Wednesday, sorry. So Mike wanted to just go straight across. So I get on the boat, and he says, hey, we're going across today. I think it was like noon or 1 o'clock or something like that. But we had to wait. We had to wait for 2 other people to join us. And the 2 other people that joined us, Mike had never met in person. His brother, Jeff, who was also on the boat, never met them. Sarah's never met them. I've never met them. And it was kind of interesting that he would do that, bring someone on that he didn't know for multiple days. I mean, you're living in the boat with them. So we were a little nervous to kind of see how they were and everything, but we waited maybe an hour or two for them to get there. The traffic was really bad, so we had to wait. And they got on, and they were super nice. Dave and Sue, I think it was. Yeah, Sue. And, we had a good time with them. Started the journey over on the boat. It wasn't too bad of seas, maybe like 4-footers or so, which would have been rough in the MTI. But with the Kraken, we just cruised at like 40, 50 miles an hour. Took about an hour and a half to get over there, and pretty much got our dock space and just chilled for the night. So it was a very relaxing start to this trip, which was about to change very much.
Yeah, just had to ease your way into it. I imagined with the MTI, it would kind of start off with a bang right away, just a little bit more adventurous, a little bit more dramatic, trying, like you said, to ride those waves in that boat instead of the Kraken. But the Kraken at least kind of gave you a nice home base, too, somewhere that you knew you'd be able to keep your stuff and stay in.
Yeah,
given that if you get to Bimini and you don't have to sleep on the beach or something like that in a hammock.
Well, that wouldn't have been too bad. Apparently, Diesel Dave slept in a hammock the one night, so...
Did he? Yeah, Alex slept outside out here as well, but he got eaten alive by bugs. So I was considering it because the temp is really nice at night here. Mm-hmm. It's not too humid or anything, but he came back, bug bites all over his hands and shit. And I'm like, all right, never mind. I'll stay inside.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah. But not to sidetrack too far, because I could sit here and talk about my vacation all day, and I got plenty of stories, but none of them are related to work, so we'll just bypass that.
You could throw them in as you see fit. I don't think anybody's going to mind that.
Yeah, I'll sprinkle in a little content here and there if it makes sense.
Yeah.
But okay, so you take the Kraken across.
Yep.
Relatively relaxed journey. Get in for the first night.
Mm-hmm.
Still chilling. Mm-hmm. What about the next day? How did that go?
Yeah, so the next day was when Dave was going to come across with us on the boat, but we were already there. So come to find out, Adrenaline Powerboats was also being thrown into the mix of this whole trip. Dave Sparks had talked to both Adrenaline and to Mike about all of us getting together to create content together. So Adrenaline had 2 47 Reapers that were in Miami that they were bringing across on Wednesday. And Dave was flying across the country, so he had his helicopter with him. But he dropped a couple of his crew members off to hop on the boats to come across on the Adrenaline boats. So they did some photo shoots and whatnot with the helicopter and the boats coming across. Mind you, the water was a lot rougher. Like the forecast was real. So they were going through like probably 5 to 10 foot waves, just hammering. So I'm told, like the boats were just getting crushed. Did a good job and everything, but when they got off, I mean, you could tell they had gone through like a day, right?
They had seen some shit.
Oh, God. I can't imagine what it was like because you have no wind protection. You know what it's like on a center console. And they said they were going like 35, 40 miles an hour. So it took them, I don't know, probably 2.5 hours to get across, like double the amount of time that it took us. But I mean, they made it.
I feel like that's what they want, right? I mean, if you have a YouTube channel, you want to put some good stuff out there, like to watch your guys go through intense boat riding for 2.5 hours through the Bahamas. That's probably, I'm sure there was some good content that was recorded and will come of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have seen any of that yet, but I look forward to it, and I hope Dave puts together these videos and you see it. You know, you see the waves and everything, but it's kind of hard to capture waves on video. We've come across that multiple times where it's like we're in this crazy weather, and then you take a video of it and it just looks calm. But I don't know. I don't know what the fix is there. Anybody knows the fix there, let me know.
Don't use a gimbal. Just hold the camera in your hands and just make it look as chaotic as possible.
Yeah, I tried it all, but I don't know. But anyway, they got across, and we took the Kraken to the airport, which was at a separate island. We were at Bimini. So for everybody that goes to the Bahamas, there's multiple different islands in the Bahamas. We were at Bimini. The airport was just a little like a little ferry ride over, like 5 minutes. I mean, it wasn't far. But we took the Kraken over there so that we could pick them all up, get them off the helicopter, and take them to their house, which they were just renting a house on the island. And when we got to the airport, we didn't really know when the helicopter was going to get there. Jeff, Mike's brother, is a pilot and had the ForeFlight app open so he could track the tail number of the helicopter coming across. But come to find out, radar doesn't detect aircrafts when they're under 10 feet off the water. So he was doing all these photo shoots and flying super low, so he just kind of dipped off radar, and we didn't know where he was. We didn't know when he was going to get there. So we were waiting.
Does Dave fly the helicopter?
Yeah. Dave Sparks flies it. Yep. And he had a co-pilot who is just there to kind of like take shifts or if there's an emergency or anything. But as far as I know, Dave was flying pretty much the whole time.
Nice.
Yeah. So we were waiting at the airport, and come to find out, like in the Bahamas, you can pretty much pay a fee and get anything you want.
Okay.
So we go to the airport, and we're like, how are we going to get out on the tarmac to welcome these guys? Because we wanted to film them coming in. We wanted to be right there. And so we just paid a couple fees and got out on the tarmac. And
you forgot the air quotes that time.
Yeah.
Paid a couple.
Just assume fees for everything. But yeah, so we're out on the tarmac waiting, and I don't know, we probably waited close to an hour out there because we just didn't know where they were, and we didn't want to miss it. But eventually he came storming in, like I said, to about 10 feet off the water, like banks high, comes in, lands down on the runway there. Two guys come running out, and they you can't hear anything because this thing's so loud. It's a Black Hawk helicopter. I don't think I mentioned that. Like, this is not your normal helicopter. This is a military helicopter, and as far as we know, he is the only civilian to own a Black Hawk helicopter. The thing goes like over 200 miles an hour and is just a tank. It's crazy. Like, so they come running out and they're just doing hand signals. They're like going like this and like pointing and whatever. And we just assume like, okay, they want us to get on it. And they did. So the four of us that were waiting there, Jeff, Sarah, Mike, and myself, just run on. And we get on the helicopter while it's still running. And come to find out, that is kind of illegal. Because
did you have to pay another fee?
Well, maybe later, but when you land in a foreign country, you have to clear customs before you like do anything. And they pretty much just landed, and four people got on, and then we took off. So we're back in the air, and he's just doing like some fun banks and turns and stuff. And at one point, he like takes the helicopter and just points it straight up, and we're just going straight up into the air. And he's like, "How's that? That's 2.5 G's." We're just like. Just cheesing the whole time. I mean, it was a 10-minute experience that I'll never forget. I mean, I was trying to film it. I had the FX3 here. I had the Insta360 on me. I ended up just dropping the FX3 and using the Insta because I could like stick the stick all the way up to them flying it. I stuck it out the window and got some shots of like Mike and the water and the helicopter and everything. So the footage came out really well from it. But 10-minute experience that was just something that people don't get to experience. I mean, it's a military helicopter. Like, it was wild.
Yeah, a military helicopter with a civilian driving it, and a showy one at that. So he put on a good show for you, it sounds like. But that sounds crazy, dude. That 200 miles an hour, military grade.
Yeah. And his co-pilot was in the military and had flown like all sorts of different stuff, so he was pretty familiar with it. But I guess Dave is just pretty talented at doing that kind of stuff, and I mean it showed. He was very good. How did
your motion sickness go? Did you get any?
No, I didn't get any, and I think the motion sickness comes from looking at the screens. So I had the Insta360. I wasn't even looking at a screen. I was just like putting that out there, which is such a nice tool, man. I'm so glad we got a good workflow for that because I'm buying another one, like for sure.
You?
Yeah, because when we shoot out of helicopters, I want to put one on the tail rudder, and then I want to have another one in the cockpit, so that you can film yourself filming or the boats.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy technology, and it's just going to guarantee that we get that shot that we might not get if we're just trying to use some sort of point and shoot lens or whatever we're doing. Like, you can only look so many places at once. Yeah. There's so many moments where you kind of get a shot, and maybe the FX3 cinema quality is like the next level, but to have the footage no matter what, in case you miss it with the FX3, that's going to be so nice for what we do.
I mean, I could sit here and talk about cameras for the next 2 hours if you want, but
yeah, I kind of want to go to the pool, I think, and get that screwdriver that I was mentioning.
yeah. Make sure you record it.
Yeah, I'll bring the this A7 III down with me, and I'll bring the microphone and everything. I'll just start getting everybody's opinion on the trip.
I was kind of hoping that we were going to record this podcast and you were going to be like poolside with like a feast next to you or something.
Yeah, like maybe 5 or 6 buttons down on my shirt.
Yeah.
Living it,
just
already
letting it
drunk.
loose.
No, we have to. You have to record it in a nice location, no wind. Got to make sure the audio is perfect. Honestly, it's nice though, right here to my right. So we got an oceanfront view, and so just looking out at the ocean right here.
That's cool.
Nice day, plenty of sun. Yeah, okay, we got to wrap this shit up. I got the waves are calling me. But anyway, so how is everything after that?
So we get the helicopter down, and those guys have to go through customs now. Those people were pissed. They're like, you're treating our country like a playground, and they were not happy, and they had every right not to be happy. When you got like these 2 YouTube channels just trying to make content and breaking rules.
It was probably so loud too. There's been like a few helicopters that fly over here, and I'm like, that's so obnoxious.
Oh yeah, I know. But it ended up working out okay. They kind of just forgave whatever happened and let everyone go on their way, which was good because we had a full day ahead of us. And the next thing we were going to do was go run the Kraken with Dave. And so we got all of his bags out of there and threw them all in the boat and showed him what that thing could do. And mind you, it's still Wednesday, right? Like the seas are still hard. Like they're 5, 6, I don't know, 5 to 10s is what they kept saying. There's no good way to measure waves. Like there isn't. It's like the motor engine thing. Like what's a 5-footer? Is that 5 feet from the center of the wave to the crest of the wave, or is it from the trough to the crest? Like no one knows how you're measuring it. It was choppy. It was ocean chop. Like the Kraken handled it well. I don't know about the adrenaline boats. They were pounding around a little bit, but it seemed like they did okay. But we get Dave out there, and I mean, we're going like 50, 55, just crushing through waves, and he was just like jaw on the ground. He had never. I mean, most people have never experienced that. You're in a cabin. You have no wind. It's quiet. The waves are crazy, and you're going 55 miles an hour. Like, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, by the end of that, like, we were only out for maybe 20 minutes or so, but by the end of it, he's like, I gotta have one of these. I gotta get one of these.
Put an order in right then and there, or what?
I think he just wanted to buy the one that was there. He seems like the kind of guy that just buys things out of impulse. I mean, on his way down, like when he was flying down, he stopped in Texas or something and bought a 40-foot hovercraft. He just buys stuff. Yeah, he's like, oh, this will make a great video.
I watched a video of him buying like 8 school buses, so I guess that makes sense. That seemed pretty impulsive. And he's like, we can scrap them. We can maybe use them. And I'm pretty sure what I saw in the video is that they're still just kind of sitting on his property, and he's looking for input on what they should do with it. I'm assuming they'll probably, I don't know, blow him up or some shit.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what could I sell this guy, but I just sold him a good time, you know?
There you go. Yeah, that's got to be an experience in itself, meeting that guy who's gone as far down the YouTube path as he has. And, you know, we've talked about it before. What's the intent of Scrapyard? And YouTube has always played a part, and we have goals for ourselves with subscribers bases and stuff like that. And I feel like I feel like we've recently moved, not away from, but we've opened ourselves up to broader ideas that maybe aren't so heavily based on YouTube. But then I'm like, you're going to go on this trip with Dave, and you're going to get to know him, and you're going to hear some things, then you're going to come back, and then we're going to end up changing our quarterly goals for Q3 and maybe leaning back on the YouTube train. So I'm curious to see how you're thinking about that after all of this.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really wavered from the YouTube train. Like, this podcast is a YouTube video. Like, we're trying to make one a month original. Like, we're still on that path. But, you know, getting to talk to Dave, which is the next big part of this day, it was pretty cool. Like, when we got off the boat, we all went to lunch, and there was about 20 of us because the adrenaline crew was there too. And I was one of the first ones to sit down. And both Dave Sparks and Heavy D, the other main character of their show, sit on both sides of me for a 2-hour lunch. And I got to talk to them about whatever I wanted, and they listen, and they know how to have a conversation that isn't just them talking the whole time. And it was maybe the highlight. Like, it was such a difference from the Blackhawk ride, where it was just pure adrenaline and excitement, to now sitting down and having a real conversation with someone that is at the top of the game for something that we're trying to do, and understanding, like, okay, how many guys do you have filming? Like, what are you guys doing with the footage when you're done with it? How are you editing these so quickly? Who's coming up with these ideas? How are you planning everything? Oh, hey, check out Sensation Powerboats. Like, check out our social media. Like, we make these documentary videos. And I mean, he was on his phone looking at the Sensation page and looking at our stuff. And it was just a great conversation for a couple of hours right after we got off the Kraken. It might have been the highlight now that I think about it.
Yeah, dude, I mean, you get all of this personal time with somebody. You're sitting there, you have nowhere to go, and they're an active listener, which sometimes you don't know when you meet people that are so like hyper focused on something.
Yeah.
They usually will talk you out of the room, but it's always nice to hear. I felt that way with Mike too. Like, he's at the top of his game too, and he's seen some shit. And so for us to like spend all that time with him, he was still like interested in what we were saying, or like very willing to give knowledge and wanted to share knowledge back and forth. It was just, it's such a constructive relationship, and so it's nice that you got to sit down and spend time with these guys, and it was kind of like in the same boat.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like, I would talk to one guy and the other guy would have a conversation going, and we would just kind of bounce back and forth. And then there was some guys from Boats Daily there that were talking about cameras and whatnot. And then I had the film guys that work for Dave Sparks there, and I was talking to them about their process. And it was just like five days all put into one, you know, like this lunch had so much knowledge and like information that I could pick up on that it's just kind of invaluable, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even know how to say it if I didn't say it well enough already.
Yeah, no, I think you've said it plenty well, but it's kind of like how we talk about where we live and where the business is, and we're kind of the only ones in the area doing what we do, which is nice because we're not a commodity where we're from. But then you look at the guys that do what we do that are all living in some community somewhere around each other where they can have these conversations on the regular. You know, they're getting together for 2-hour lunches twice a week, and they're bouncing ideas off. So there, you just can immediately see what kind of value that would bring to our lives. But at the same time, it's nice when you do get it, you soak in as much as you possibly can. Like, there's no spare minute there. I have this much time. I will be figuring out as much as I possibly can, asking all these questions, coming prepared. And then we can take that back and mix that in with our own ideas and continue to do our own thing.
Yeah. And as that kind of winded down and, you know, the good conversation and everything kind of faded away as people started to leave the table, we were right back into the adrenaline pumping stuff because all 3 boats were going out for a photo shoot. So right after lunch, both adrenaline boats and the Kraken went out. Dave went back and got the Blackhawk again because, I mean, if you're going to do a photo shoot, you got to have that thing. And we just kind of ripped back and forth out front of the island, and the helicopter flew right along with us. Got some cool shots of it, like kind of flying low right next to the boats. and that's what we do. I mean, we film boats, so it was like being right at home for that. And that was pretty fun.
You become the expert. You have the knowledge to share on that, which is nice.
Yeah, and I mean, he had his crew up in the helicopter filming out of there. I didn't have the opportunity to go do that again, but that I could have done that. That would have been nice. Mike and I have already talked on the phone a couple times about what we would have done differently to capture this moment. And we didn't capture it maybe as well as we could have. For sure not, because we had ideas that would have been better. But you just don't know in those moments. You're just trying, and you don't even know, like, is the helicopter even going to get there? Because we were getting phone calls like, oh, the airport's closed. Okay, well, what kind of fee did you have to pay to get that helicopter off the ground? Because 30 minutes later, it was up in the air. So you just never really know. And we were trying to be prepared. Definitely had some misses, but Mike was understanding. I mean, you're doing the best that you can. And dude, by the end of that shoot, I was like dripping sweat. Just everything in my body was stimulated at that point because I had just had all these conversations, and now we're doing this shoot, and you got this Black Hawk, which is insane, flying like 10 feet off the boat. I mean, you just felt everything.
Yeah. I mean, that's to the point about being prepared and not really knowing. You can't predict everything. That's kind of just part of what we do.
Yeah.
When you're put in that situation, it's about how you react to adversity. It's about understanding what you can and can't get and talking it out afterward. What would we have done differently, learning from that. But when you're going into a shoot as chaotic as that, like you can't script shit for that. So it's just, you're walking in there and you're like, I'm going to get everything I possibly can. And as we get better and better at what we do, every time you walk away with better and better footage. And I don't think anybody would argue that what we come away with, we make work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what's going to happen with the videos that we make out of this. Like, some of it's going to be slowed down, some of it's going to be stabilized, some of it's going to be fast-paced, like normal speed, to look like it's chaotic. We're gonna make do with whatever we got. That's what we do. Mm-hmm. Now, working with Mike on him editing this video and us just providing the footage will be interesting to see what he does with it, because I don't know how well he knows how to work with like this kind of footage, the way that it's shot. But if he has questions, I'm sure he'll ask. And I also offered to like cut together some B-roll sequences if he wants me to. So I'm trying to be helpful as we continue this relationship of me filming for his channel.
Yeah, going through, coming and finding the good B-roll like we normally would for our videos. And if you do have to stabilize some of that or something, like give it to him in that end state where, like, if you watch one of our videos, we've already gone through that process and we've pulled all that good stuff out. Yeah,
if we continue to film for him, there's going to be some purchases that need to be made, because like some of our processes don't work when you're just handing off footage. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what we end up making out of this. But that shoot with Adrenaline and the Black Hawk was the last thing that we did filming with them. And this is all in like I want to say 7-8 hour period. So everything that comes out of this was from just that one chunk of time, because right after that, we put the boats away. We went to dinner. The cameras were off. Dave and Mike got to have those conversations where they reminisced about Discovery and talked about all that stuff that Mike wanted to, which was really nice. Like, that checked that box for him. And while that was going on, I was sitting outside dumping footage and doing that whole dance with Dave's crew, who was also doing the same thing. So for me, I was getting to have that conversation just like he wanted to with who I look at as like some of the best in the industry. Learn what they have. Oh, hey, I got this air message thing. Like, can you help me with this? Oh yeah, he comes over, helps me. You know, we talk about it, talk about their processes. I mean, it was a really enjoyable evening working and talking with them as Mike was able to do the same thing with Dave.
Yeah, that just getting to that point and being like, okay, I'm not the only crazy person to exist. Like, we're all sitting here dumping our footage and editing immediately after getting off a shoot. It's a specific lifestyle that it's taken me quite a bit of time to get used to. But when you sit with other people that do it, you're like, okay, like other people do this, like, you know.
Yeah. And you know, Mike, he's very competitive and he wants to make the best video. And he made a couple of comments to me like, "Oh, we don't want them to have a better video than us." And I'm just like, Mike, this is like an NBA team playing against a junior college team. Like, this isn't fair, right? They have 2 guys filming that are uploading footage to 2 guys that are at home that are editing it all for the next day. And they have a manager that's telling them all what to do at every moment. They got a full-time 5-person team to make YouTube videos. And you brought me on for one day to film with you, and we don't even have a process yet. Like, we're just figuring this out. So it really isn't a fair fight.
We wonder if they have 2 people filming. They got a team of 5 people. Like, it was even bigger than we anticipated.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah. Fuck. And the crazy thing was that the 2 guys that were filming there, 18 and 19 years old, just fresh out of high school.
Damn. Did they know Dave or something?
I guess one of them had a cousin that was working for Dave and doing some filming, and that was just kind of how it snowballed. And it seems like with a lot of these creators, they hire from their friends or from acquaintances or whatever. Like, there isn't like a job website to go on to fill out or find applicants for like creating content. Not yet.
Look at us. How did we meet?
I know.
How did you hire me? The exact same thing.
It's just such like a close family when you're doing this stuff. Like, those guys are together every day, all day, that you almost can't risk. Well, you can, but it's tough when you're risking that with somebody that you don't even know. Like, they would much rather have somebody that's credible and trustworthy than somebody with the skill set that they need. Like, this is a very teachable skill set. Right? Like you've learned how to do just about everything in 1 year. So this kid gets out of high school. He's been doing this for 1 year, and now he's like making Dave Sparks videos, you know?
Yep.
Which are getting millions and millions of views every week.
You just got to get tossed in it, and you got to be with somebody that's willing to collaborate with you and wants you to succeed, and you got to be able to learn it and want to learn it. And here's the end product. So it's 10:56. I think Madison's probably getting pretty antsy. We got to head down, get some breakfast, start our day.
Yep.
So I think we need to wrap. We can end with you getting food poisoning at the very end of this trip and just going through hell for 2 days afterward, which I just... Don't drink the water.
You seem to be pretty... You're grinning pretty much ear to ear on that. You get some satisfaction out of hearing that?
No, it's just that, like, you
puking my brains out with
going
5
through this,
to 10 foot seas.
You just going through, like, it's the same. It's the same thing as the Speed on the Water trip, the first one that you did in the lead.
Right.
And you got violently ill too. You just can't seem to avoid taking it to the very extreme.
Yeah, I don't know. It was either food poisoning or the water or whatever, but the whole next day was shot. We weren't going to do anything with Dave anyways, so Mike ended up filming just like he would normally for a YouTube video, but I was dead the whole way home. It was brutal.
Hey, that's what we do. We put ourselves in these situations. We get the job done.
Yeah.
Even if we have violent food poisoning, doesn't matter.
Well, you got to get back to your vacationing, and I got to go take some calls. Left. So,
yeah. Well, let's call it here. I'll be back Wednesday. We'll be doing an interesting shoot that day that we'll talk about next week. So stay tuned for that. But I'll see you in a couple of days.
All right. Thanks for hopping on your vacation, Bob. I'm sure everyone appreciates it.
Yeah, no problem. To all our loyal fans, I just couldn't let them down. I had to show up. So you're welcome.
All 20 of them.
Yeah.
We love you, though.
All right. Yes. Thank you. Keep listening.
All right.
See ya. Bye.